we have now recovered over 14 million pounds of concrete and debris. And through our search and recovery, we have recovered additional victims since our last briefing, and the number of confirmed deaths is now 90. We've also made identifications, as the police and medical examiner have continued also to work tirelessly to identify victims and then to notify next of kin in person immediately once identifications are made. 51 of the 90 victims have been identified and their next of kin notified.
71.
What did I say?
You said 50, 71.
Excuse me. 71 victims have been identified and their next of kin notified. And our hearts and minds are always with those we've lost and with the families who are grieving and those that are still waiting. Our detectives are continuing to make progress in their audit and their diligent efforts of researching, verifying all reports on the unaccounted list and working with the families to open missing person police reports. And as a result, we have continued to move reports from the unaccounted to the accounted list. 217 people are now accounted for, and 31 people are potentially unaccounted for. It's also important to stress, as we have before, that we can only truly account for a missing person who is deceased once the identification is made. So the numbers are fluid and will continue to change, and they will continue to change as all of these efforts continue. Last night, we held a memorial walk along Collins Avenue with family members and first responders, Hatzalah, that's been on the scene from the beginning, and members of the Israeli Defense Forces. We took a moment to celebrate and thank the men and women of all the search and rescue teams from Miami-Dade Rescue, from our other cities and states around the country, and of course those from around the world who've been working 24 hours a day for the last 2.5 weeks. And we especially wanted to salute the Israeli team before they're departing today. In recognition of their unrelenting dedication and their compassionate service to our community and to the families and survivors of this tragedy, I was very proud to present the first 2 keys to the county as mayor that I've had the pleasure and pride to present. I presented them to Israeli Commander Golan Baksh and Colonel Edri Alad. So Miami-Dade Fire Rescue also presented the commander and the colonel with badges as we welcomed them as 2 new honorary members of our team, of our Miami-Dade Fire Rescue team. And the Florida Department of Emergency Management honored the IDF as well on behalf of the governor. This walk was truly a beautiful moment for those of us who were able to participate. Members of the community, our first responders, international partners, we all came together once again to recognize the enormous tragedy and the extraordinary efforts of everyone who has helped to get us through these difficult days and their tremendous heroism. So God bless all of our first responders and all of the families who have been so forever affected by this tragedy. Buenos días, aquí estamos en el día 18 de la tragedia. Los esfuerzos de búsqueda y recuperación continuaron interrumpidos durante la noche y a la mañana. Ahora hemos eliminado más de 14 libras de concreto y escombros. A través de la búsqueda y recuperación, hemos recuperado víctimas adicionales desde nuestra última sesión y el número total de muertes confirmadas ahora es 90. También hemos realizado más identificaciones a medida que la policía y los equipos de médicos forenses continúan trabajando incansablemente para identificar a las víctimas, a luego notificar a los familiares más cercanos en persona inmediatamente una vez que se hacen las identificaciones. 71 víctimas han sido identificados y sus familiares notificadas. Nuestros corazones están siempre con aquellos que hemos perdido, las familias que están todavía esperando, doliendo, y los que todavía están esperando. Ahora se contabilizan 217 personas y 31 personas están potencialmente desaparecidas. Dios bendiga a nuestros socorristas y a todas las familias afectadas por la tragedia y todos ustedes que están orando con nosotros. Gracias.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now Surfside Mayor Charles Burkett.
Good morning. I first want to echo Mayor Cava's comments on the event last night. With all of our teams, all of our search and rescue members, the Israeli team, and the families, it was touching, it was moving, and it was important. There was a deep amount of gratitude there from the families. There was a recognition of the rescue personnel, and there was a rescue of our leaders who had made that search and rescue effort so successful over the past 2 weeks. Successful in that it's gone on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop, and the heart and the soul that all of the members of those teams have put into this effort is just beyond words. I want to touch on a meeting that I had yesterday with our engineer regarding the Champlain North Towers. We are constantly in there doing visual inspections, and as I've said before, core samples had been sent, and apparently we're getting back some of the results. The early results on the concrete is that the concrete strength is very good and at or beyond the levels at which it should be. We're doing they're analyzing the contents and substance of the concrete, and that's going to take a little longer, but in any event, slabs are being measured, thicknesses are being assessed, weight of additional tile and finishes is also being looked at, and all these tests are being done at different times of the day, given that our engineer has said that those buildings are breathing entities, and that what goes on in the middle of the day is different than what goes on at night. After my visit this morning to the site, the intensity of the work seems to have increased further. It's a very difficult site at this time, as you can imagine. It's been 2 weeks and the conditions are very, very tough. But that hasn't slowed down the work. The search and rescue teams are out there in numbers greater than I've seen all along. There continues to be heavy machinery undertaking very delicate scratching of the surfaces with our teams nearby, so they're utilizing every tool they have. The work is still so delicate that we've even found unbroken wine bottles in the rubble and recovered them. We're also finding personal possessions as small as rings, which are also being returned to the site storage area, categorized, photographed, and saved for the families. The intel on the victims in that building, where they were and where they were expected to be, has been nothing short of incredible. This has been an extremely important component of the search and rescue. It has allowed the search and rescue teams to, on many, many occasions, pinpoint exactly where the victims were ultimately found. The Miami-Dade teams, in partnership with the Israeli team, has been incredibly successful to this end. Lastly, just as a note, one of the things that we've always looking for in the search were the stairwells, because the stairwells were thought to be areas of refuge. Sadly, the stairwells were also in very poor shape. and unfortunately, as a result of my conversation with team leaders out there, didn't yield the results that we had hoped. But in any event, the search goes on. The workers are applying maximum pressure, and the pile continues to go down.